today we are going to talk about our second thematic explorations, which is the city and labor. Of course, we have seen a lot of characters in with different jobs during the previous weeks. For example, we have seen a lot of different types of white-collar workers in night freight and one day in the life of a white-collar worker, right? And we also seen a lot of homosexual characters with a lot of different jobs in Crystal Boys, right? So today we are going to talk a little bit about the situations in the novels are quite in the stories are quite different. For example, the jobs appear in these two stories. The first one is Crossing the River. The second one, My Son Hansen. The jobs are quite different because they are closely related to the urban environment. For example, we see the main character of the first story, Crossing the River. He's a tailor apprentice. But we don't see tailor in the countryside because we know that many of the female members, family members of the countryside, they can make clothes by their own hands. You don't have to order clothes from tailoring shop, right? And for example, we see the main character in the second story, Hansen. He became once he became a insurance broker, right? But it's a job which is not which cannot be found in the countryside because we know that the farmers in Taiwan, especially in the earlier days in the Postwar Taiwan, they didn't buy insurance policies, right? Okay, so I think this is quite different from the situation in the previous weeks. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, the picture from the left side is Yang Jingchu, and from the left side is Xiao Sa, the two authors for today. Okay. Yang Qingchu, actually, he's like Chen Yingzhen and Huang Chunming. He's one of the most famous nativist realist writers in Taiwan. And one of the reasons that he's so famous is that he dedicated himself to the education of Taiwanese, the Taiwanese dialect. He tried to edit a lot of Taiwanese dictionary and tried to teach literature in Taiwanese, and especially important is he used to be a political figure in the opposition movement in Taiwan. So that's the reason why he's so famous. Okay, and like I said, all of the workers, no, not workers, all of the writers of the nativist realism in Taiwan, they are from a rural background, or they are from places other than Taipei. And we see Wang Tuo, he's from Keelung, and Wang Zhenhe, he's from Hualien. Chen Yingzhen, he's from Miaoli and Yingge. And today we see Yang Qingchu, he is from Kaohsiung. Okay, so we know that Kaohsiung, because of its location, it's a places with a lot of workers, especially, for example, there are works at docks, because we know that there's a Kaohsiung harbor, and there's several industrial parks in Kaohsiung. So there are factory workers in Kaohsiung, and we know that Chinese petroleum company 中油公司 has set up a lot of factories in Kaohsiung. So we can also see a lot of petroleum company workers in Kaohsiung. Okay, so this is the background of Yang Qingchu. Okay, Yang Qingchu is the pen name of Yang Hexiong. He was born in 1940 in Tainan and relocated to Kaohsiung with his family when he was 12 years old. Okay, and his father is a firefighter, and if I remember right, if my memory is right, I think he's a firefighter. Yang Qingzu's father is a firefighter who worked for Chinese Petroleum Company, that is 中油公司. Then he died when Yang Qingzu was 21 years old. So he had to become the main supporter of the family, and that's the reason why he had a chance to take up a lot of different jobs in the process. He had to take a lot of part-time jobs other than his full-time job, and he cannot finish his education in college. So we know that not even in college, he didn't even have his high school diploma after high school degree after he was in his early 20s. So he graduated from high school when he was 31 years old. Okay, so he used to be a worker in various trades before becoming a writer. For example, he's a tailor apprentice, like the main character of Crossing Love River. And in 1979, we know that there was a Formosa incident, 美丽岛事件. So he was involved with this movement. So he became a political prisoner until 1983. So he was in prison for 4 years. Like Wang Tuo was also in prison for a short period. Okay, so Yang Qingzu graduated from Kaohsiung Senior High School's 9th division when he was 31 years old. So unlike most of the writers we have introduced so far, he's a self-taught writer. He taught himself to become a writer. You know, this is a very rare case among the nativist writers, the famous nativist writers in Taiwan. For example, we know that Chen Yingzhen graduated from Tankang University, right? And Huang Chunming, he graduated from a normal college, Pingdong Normal College. And Wang Zhenhe, he graduated from NTU. So they are all college graduates. Only, I think Yang Qingzu in this aspect, might be the only exception. Okay, so Yang Qingzu's writing has concentrated on the lives of ordinary men and women in the society of Taiwan. So this is quite clear from the first story we have read today. And his stock characters are male and female factory workers, janitors, pallbearers, and taxi drivers. What is stock characters? Stock characters are the stereotypical characters appear in your story. So there are many stereotypical characters in all of the writers' stories. Okay, so the story we read today, Crossing Love River, it was published in 1968, but it was made into a movie in 1984. So it's one of his representative works. Okay. So we can see a lot of stock characters in Yang Qingzu's writing, and he used these stock characters to reflect the social political background and the province of Taiwan, especially they involve economic problems. Okay, so for example, in the first story, Twilight in the Fields, 绿园的黄昏, it's a story written about the lives of the Taiwanese farmers in the southern part of Taiwan, and I think the main thing of the story is about the transformation of the society, because Taiwan became so prosperous. It has become modernized and industrialized and commercialized to the point of becoming a society in which many of the members of the society they despise the position of the social position of farmers, because in this story, Twilight in the Fields, of course, this is a love story. Many of the Yang Qingzu's stories are actually love stories, and they are like the story we read today, Crossing Love River. It's of course just from the title, you know that it's a love story, and this is a love story about two young people, and the male character is a farmer. and the female character, the female main character, the female protagonist are always argue with the male protagonist about his job because he's a farmer. He's not a common clerk, or he's not a teacher. He's not a government official. He's a farmer, so he's despised, and he's not a very ideal husband for the female character, female protagonist. Okay, so this is about the social position and social situation of the farmers in Taiwan. And of course, we know that in Crossing Love River, we have seen a lot of characters: tailor apprentice, bar girls, and the prostitutes. Okay, and the third story, promotion. Of course, this is a story about a guy, a temporary worker in a factory. He always wanted to be promoted, so he tried to. In this case, the promotion means that he has to become a full-time worker. He has to become a worker, not just a temporary worker. He has to become a worker in the factory. And something ironic is that this temporary worker has been temporary worker in the factory for 16 years. Okay, so he has to bribe his way to the promotion. But this kind of bribery has been found by the managers of the factory, so he was fired from the job. So we can see that this is Yang Qingzu try to depict the miserable life of workers, and in this case, the worker is a carpenter. Okay. And the last case, the fourth story is dance party, 工厂的舞会. This story is set in one of the industrial parks in Kaohsiung. Like I said, from the later 1960s, there have been a lot of different industrial parks in Kaohsiung. And in this story, we see the factory is trying to throw a party for all of the workers in this factory, and we can see a lot of divisions, a lot of discriminations in this story. For example, the workers can be divided into female and male workers. So we can see a lot of female workers, they are discriminated by male workers, and we can see a lot of uneducated and educated workers. For example, we can see a lot of managers. They had college. They are college graduates. So they discriminate those who were not a college graduate. We also can see a lot of other divisions in this story. So this is the fourth story, dance party, 工厂的舞会. Okay. All of the stories you can find in this story collection, selected stories of Yang Qingzu, Yang Qingzu 小说选. It's translated by Thomas B. Gold. Thomas B. Gold is a very famous scholar in America. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the first story today, Crossing Love River. You know that Love River is quite famous, of course. Especially important is the name of the Love River is quite romantic. It's about love. So we can see a lot of scene in this story. We can see the female protagonist and male protagonist. They take a walk along the Love River, right? And the Love River is central river. It's a very great river. Play a very important part in the history of Kaohsiung. Okay, so this is a scene you can find in the Love River. And this is another picture taken because there's a lot of events taking place on Love River. So you can see this kind of picture on the website, on the internet. Okay. And from this picture, we can see the sidewalk of along Love River. So we can see Dimples and the Big Eyes. They took a walk on the sidewalk all the time, right? Okay. And something very special about this story is the specific geographical indication of this story. For example, after because we know that in the story, in the first part of the story, maybe first or second section of the story, we see the male character, male protagonist. He had to undergo appendix surgery, right? So the female protagonist helped him with finding the money to do this surgery, to do this appendicitis operation. So after the operation, the male protagonist he went with two other tailors to the place of the female protagonist. Okay, this is this sentence is quoted from this passage. They went down 5 Happiness 4th Road, turning at Courage Road and cross Love River Bridge. Okay, so we can see the picture is divided by Love River into 2 parts. This is the east bank. This is the west bank. Okay, so east bank because there's a mistake in the story. The east bank is translated as west bank, but actually it's Chinese. It's east bank. So the female protagonist, Big Eyes, she had a lodging in the east bank of the Love River, and the tailoring shop is at the west bank of the Love River, and also the working place for the female protagonist, Big Eyes, is also on the west bank, because we know that during the first part of the 1960s, there are many American soldiers. They patronizes the bars set up along this river bank, the west side of the river, the west bank of the river. Okay, so I think maybe the place the tailors work is located around 五福四路, that is the 5 Happiness 4th Road, and they walk toward 大勇路, that is the Courage Road, and go straight to the bridge. That is this is I think Love River Bridge is not the official name of the bridge. The official name of this bridge is Chiang Kai-shek Bridge. I think Love River Bridge is not, because this is Chiang Kai-shek Bridge, and on the outside of this map there is Kaohsiung Bridge, and I think they went from this bridge to the east bank of Love River. Okay, so this is a specific geographical location of the story. Okay, so there are several key points which I think are very important. Okay, so the first point is that the characters are primarily named after their physical features. I think this is something interesting. We're going to discuss this later on. And we can see a lot of places in Kaohsiung City. We see Love River. We see river banks, the east bank and west bank of Love River. We see theaters. Okay, because we know that this is one of the pastimes of the workers in Kaohsiung. They love to see movies at the local theaters. We see gymnasium, because once the protagonists, Dimples and Big Eyes, they went to a lawn beside the gymnasium to take a walk. And we see a mutton shop. I think mutton shop is quite different, because, for example, in one day in the life of a white-collar worker in ninth grade, we see a lot of, because we see the characters, they patronize a lot of places. For example, there's a Western style restaurant, Japanese style restaurant. We also see they patronize this coffee shop or maybe other places But in this story, we see the female and the male protagonists, they patronize a mutton shop. It's quite different from the previous stories. And we also see a red light district behind the theaters. Okay, this is I think this is if you live in Kaohsiung, you know that where is the place of this red light district. And we also see bars and maybe some brothels, of course, that are in the red light district. We also see one tailoring shop. Okay, this is the working place of these main characters. Okay, and we see the problem of bullying in the working environment. This is a very important issue in nowadays. But especially important is that we can see the two tailors. That is one is lion nose, the other is Kenyan mouse. They bully big eyes all the time. No, they bully dimples all the time, right? So this is a verbal bully of these workers. And we also see love in the working environments, because in the end of the story, at the end of the story, we see the possibility of these two characters, that is Dimples and Yuan Yuan. They maybe that they might be together. They will develop a love relationship. Okay, so that's love in the working environment. Okay. And especially important is I think the river is just more than the river, because I think the river has a very symbolic function in this story, because crossing the river it's not a geographical translocation. It's more than geographical translocation. It's more about a symbolic act of being a man rather than being a boy. Because we know that in the story, this we were informed that this male protagonist, Dimples, he has not been a member of the ROC army, right? He had to, maybe after his short-term apprenticeship, he had to join the army for 2 or 3 years. And later on, he will become a man and will become a more ideal candidate of husband. But in this story, we see he used another form of this kind of rite of passage, because he used his love experience to make himself to be a man. Okay, so basically, crossing the river of the two different directions. One is from the west bank to the east bank of the river, and the other is from the east bank of the Love River to the west bank of the Love River. Means a lot to this male character, Dimples. Okay. So basically, this is a rite of passage story depicting the process from a virgin boy. Because the story Crossing the River have another Chinese name, that is 在世男, which means virgin boy. Okay, from a virgin boy to a man after his visit to brothel. Okay, so first of his first love experience is at the east bank of the Love River, but his first sexual experience is at the west bank of the Love River. Okay. And we also see the problem of money, because money, the amount of a specific amount of money is talked about all the time in this story. Let's see the living standard of the later 60s. There are several interesting things in this two story. For example, Crossing the River is published in 1968, and My Son Hansen is published in 1978. There's maybe 1 decade discrepancy between these two stories. So we see Hansen can get how much money from his job in advertisement agency. I think it's $7,000, right? So you can compare it with the situation, the living situation of Dimples and the Big Eyes. Okay, and first of all, we can see when Dimples had to undergo appendicitis operation, he needed $2,200 to do this operation. So we know that Taiwan, of course, at that time Taiwan have already had the labor insurance, but this kind of operation is not covered by labor insurance. You have to find other ways to secure the money. And of course, this is no longer the problem because we have health insurance these days. So you don't have to lot amount of money for your operation. Okay. So this is this also we know that this is a lot of money, and compared to his salary, because his salary is only $100 a month. Okay, and so he got this money from Big Eyes. And the salary of a tailor apprentice is $100 a month. But I think this is not even a salary. This is only an allowance, because we know that a tailor apprentice is not a real worker. He's just an apprentice. He's not he cannot even join the labor insurance. He's a work. He's not covered by the labor insurance. So this is only an allowance offered by the tailoring shop. Okay, and we know that Dimples spent $50 on daily expenses for, I mean, not $50 for one day. It's $50 for 1 month, one whole month, right? Okay, so he spent $50 on his daily expenses in a month, and so he had $50 left from the allowance, right? So after he's angry about Big Eyes leaving, so he patronized one of the brothels in the red light district. So he spent $50 in the brothel. Okay. And at the end of the story, we see Big Eyes was paid $10,000 for being a mistress per month. Okay, so we see the salary of mistress is far higher than the salary of tailor apprentice. Okay, and she got an extra payment of $300,000 for being a surrogate mother, because she has to borrow a baby for the manager of lumber factory in Taichung, right? Okay, so this is from this we can see the living standard of the late 60s in Taiwan. Okay. I just talked about the physical features of these characters. Okay, but of course we know that there are several characters that are without names. For example, the first one, the proprietress. Proprietress is owner of the Qimei tailoring shop, and we also see Big Eyes. She's the female protagonist. She's 21 years old. She's a bar girl for 5 years. She had been sold to the bar by his father, because his father is both a gambler and an alcoholic. So she was sold to by his father to this bar, and he hated his job very much. And we also see Dimples. He's 18 years old. He's an apprentice, tailor apprentice. And we also see Yuan Yuan. This is one of the main characters with names. I think she's the only character with a name, with a formal name, Yuan Yuan. She's 18 years old, the same as the tailor apprentice. She's in the trade 1 year earlier, so she taught a lot of things to this tailor apprentice, and she protected the tailor apprentice when he was bullied by the other tailors, right? Okay, so I think this is also a very kind of generous character in this story. So that's the reason why they might develop a love relationship. I mean, a love relationship between Dimples and Yuan Yuan. Okay, and we see two tailors. One is lion nose, and the other is hanging mouth. Okay, so I think the reason for this kind of name is quite interesting, because I think first of all it corresponds the tone, some kind of informal and bantering tone of the story, because this story is written in a very bantering tone a lot, because the male protagonist, Dimples, he was marked by all of these other characters a lot, all the time. Okay, and the other reason why is that this might show the fact that the workers in this working environment, they are only acquaintances, not real friends. Because if they are friends, they would know their name, right? But if they were only acquaintances, they will only tell they will only name by their physical features, nicknames. Okay, so this is another reason for this kind of naming. And the Love River is a household name in Kaohsiung city, so you know that it's quite famous in Kaohsiung. So it's originally known as the Dagao River. Dagao is the Taiwanese, Dagao is the Mandarin. Okay, so it's a Dagao River, and the Dagao is original name for Kaohsiung. Okay. It's also named the Kaohsiung River or the Kaohsiung Canal. Okay, so this is the name of the river, and this river is 12 kilometers long. Originates from the Renwu district, passing through Zhuoying, Sanming, Gushan, Yancheng, and Qianjin. Yancheng and Qianjin are the two districts in this story. Yancheng is the west bank of the river. Qianjin is the east bank of the Love River, and the Lingya, and emptying into Kaohsiung harbor. Okay. And during the USA period, Yancheng district became the center for bar business. Okay, so we can see a lot of bars along. At that time, we can see a lot of bars along the Love River. Okay, so this is the name of the river. Okay, and just like Wild Child and other stories, maybe Crystal Boys and other stories, we see a specific special structure which is in correspondence with the plot structure. Okay, so in each scene, we can see this story is divided into several sections, right? And in each section or in each scene, we can see a specific place for these events to happen. For example, in the opening scene, we see there is of conversation flow among 3 or 4 people, and this takes place in a tailoring shop. Okay, so in this scene we see Big Eyes and Dimples ridiculed by Lion Nose and Kenyan Mouse because they thought that they were a couple, right? Okay, and we also see a lot of verbal discrimination against this bar girl, of course. And in the second scene, we see a hospital because this Dimples has appendicitis. He has appendicitis, right? So he had to go to the hospital for the operation. So Big Eyes care for Dimples and pay for his appendicitis. It's $2,200. Okay, and then the next scene, after they got off from work, they went through the Wufusi Lu and Dayonglu to the east bank of Love River to Big Eye's home. He has a lodging in the east bank of the river. Okay, and later on, after they're gathering at the lodging, Big Eyes and Dimples, they went to the theater to watch a movie, right? Okay, and in the final scene, we see Dimples stop seeing Big Eyes because one time he saw Big Eyes were with another guy in the movie theater. Okay, so he was very upset, of course, and Big Eyes tried to explain herself. Okay, so in this section we see a lot of places First is a tailoring shop, and then it's a mutton shop, and then the lawn beside the gymnasium. So we see a lot of specific places for this couple to explain themselves. And later on, we see a scene in Big Eye's home. It's of course it's the east bank of the river. Dimples compared Big Eyes with Yuan Yuan because at this juncture we know that maybe he has two choices for his love, and in this section we see the first kiss between Big Eyes and Dimples. Okay, and the next section is first is Big Eyes home, and then to the river bank. Dimples went to see Big Eyes 1 month later. Big Eyes had left, so he felt betrayed. So he crossed the river, took a trip to the brothel. So this is a passage, not only a geographical location. It's a passage of his growing up or his being a man, no longer a boy. Okay, so he went to a red light district behind the theaters. Okay, Dimples patronized a brothel named the Peach Blossom River, Taohuajiang, and he lost his virginity. And the last thing of this story is in the tailoring shop, because we see Big Eyes was pregnant with child for manager of a lumber company in Taichung. And maybe we know that from the very last passage of the story, the choice of Dimples is Yuan Yuan rather than Big Eyes. Okay, so I think crossing the river is meaningful on two levels. One is traveling eastward, traveling from west bank of the Love River to the east bank is for his first love experience. Of course, I mean the first love experience of Dimples, right? And when he traveled westward, I mean from east bank, the lodging of Big Eyes, to west bank, to the brothel, to the red light district, it's his first sexual exploration. So we can say that this is not only a story about how these workers live and love in Kaohsiung, but also about how this male protagonist, Dimples, became from a boy to a man. Okay, so I think this is what's the important points of this story. Okay, let's get into the second story for today. And first of all, I want to introduce Xiao Sa, this female writer. This is a writer I like a lot. And I think she's quite talented, especially in the aspect of presenting the problems of for example, the problem with mother-son relationship, father-son relationship, and all kinds of marriage problems. Okay, so Xiao Sa, she was born in Taiwan in 1953, but her family had been from Nanking. But actually, Xiao Sa was adopted a daughter for this family. Originally, she was from a Taiwanese family, but later on, she was adopted by the family, a mainland family. She was originally named Xiao Qingyu. Okay, so with this kind of name, it certainly means that maybe you are from mainland family, because Qingyu, Qing means celebration, right? Yu means survival. Okay, so if you are celebrating for your survival, it means that you are a member of the mainlander family in Taiwan. For example, there are a lot of names like this. For example, if you are in Taisheng in Taiwan, born in Taiwan, Taisheng. Tai means of course Tai means Taiwan. Sheng means birth. Okay, so if you are born in Taiwan, that means, ironically, that means you are from a mainlander's family, because they like to use these names a lot during the elder generations. Okay, And she graduated from Girls Normal College of Taipei in the early 70s. So she has been teaching. She had been teaching in schools for many years, and I think she might be retired right now. And she's one of the colleagues. We can see that she's one of the colleagues of Huang Chunming. So they are both used to be school teachers. She published her first collection of short stories, Long Dyke, in 1972. So you can see how talented she was. She's only 19 years old when she published her first literary work. So we can see that she is very talented. She's very talented, and she stopped writing for 5 years after she got married to her husband. And husband is a director. In 1978, she published My Son Han Shen. This is one of her most famous works in the supplement to the United Daily News. So this is the movies. This story is made into a movie later on in 1986, and her husband is the director. Okay, and this piece of work also procured for her a literary award set up by United Daily News. So that's one of the reasons why she's so famous in Taiwan. And there's some key features of her works. Many of her works focus on social issues and family problems. It's quite obvious in this story we read today, My Son Han Shen. Especially the troubles young people usually run into in Taiwan. For example, besides My Son Han Shen, there's another famous piece of work, The Aftermath of the Death of a Junior High Co-ed. 死了一个国中女生之后, this piece of work is published in 1982. It also shows how young people's lives could be more and more difficult in a rapidly transforming Taiwan. Okay, so during the 1980s, we can see a lot of Xiao Sa's works made into movies, and this is one of the key features of her works. They use this kind of young characters as like Han Shen, and the main character in this story, the aftermath of the death of a junior high co-ed. They use this kind of young character to present the social problems in Taiwan. So this is the story, My Son Han Shen. It's about, I think, the first message that the writer Xiao Sa wants to express is about the social transformation in Taiwan, because we know that this piece of work is published in 1978, and it was 1 year before that the USA government broke the diplomatic relationship with Taiwan. But at that time, Taiwan's economy started to prosper. So the society of Taiwan is quite different from the previous generations. So in this kind of a society, many of the young people in Taiwan cannot cope with this kind of social transformation. Okay, so many social problems happen. Okay, and from the story we see the main character Han Shen. He's actually, I think, from my own perspective, from the theme of this lecture, I think the most important issue is, of course, the city and labor. And in this story, we see Han Shen try to undertake a lot of jobs, but he failed in the process. And what is more important is that he went farther and farther away from his original education in the college, because we know that Han Shen, he's a sociology major. Originally, he did some social works, right? He's a social worker, and later on he went to an advertisement agency, and this is some kind of job which is very different from the previous two jobs. And later on, he became a cab driver, and that is a job which is more and more different from the previous jobs. Okay, so this is my reading of this story. But in this passage, we can see the because the story is narrated from the perspective of mother, of course, the Han Sen's mother. So from this passage, we can see how the situation, the living situation of Han Sen and Han Sen's mother is quite different. Okay, and this passage happened right after the family, of Han Sen's mother and Han Sen's father and Han Sen's sister was scolded by Han Sen because they went to a hotel to celebrate the Han Sen's sister Han Lin passed the college entrance exam, right? So Han Sen thought that it is too much waste to eat a lot of things or to eat a lot of expensive things at a hotel because he thought that it is unnecessary. But hearing this kind of comments from Han Sen's mother tried to give her own comments from this kind of thought. The narrator, the mother, said that, how could he say that we don't understand life's difficulties? Soon after Han Sen was born, Yu De was sent to the south for half a year. In order to afford powdered milk for the baby, we ate pickled cabbage, dry shaded fish, and steamed bread and congee for almost every meal. When I was pregnant with Han Lin, Yu De was again in the United States for training. Pregnant women are always hungry, but since I couldn't afford anything special, I would spend $1 NT on peanuts. Okay, so this is the way the narrator tried to flashback, try to remember their past ways of life, because we know that Yu De, that is the Han Sen's father, he's a mainlander. He's not from Taiwan. He's from mainland China. So maybe he did not have a very rich family, and maybe he came to Taiwan alone. So the mother of Han Sen and Yu De, that is the father of Han Sen, they had to fight for their own livelihood in the earlier days of their marriage. So we can see the difference between past and present, the living situation in Taiwan. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We can divide Han Sen's jobs. We see a list of jobs undertaken by Han Sen. We can divide these jobs into 3 categories. The first type is after graduating from university, he became a social education. He works for the Social Education Association. Later on, he went to a service center for the wounded and disabled miners welfare organization. These two jobs, they are related to social work. So it's I think he's using his training in sociology or in social work as his background for these jobs. And in the second type of work, that is after he left the service center, he went to an advertising agency. He passed the exam and he became a staff of the advertising agency. And in this type of work, we know that if you want to go into this advertising agency, I think at least you must have to be a college graduate. So you have to use the education in your college as this kind of as the background of this kind of work. But the third type of work is of job is the broker in the insurance company, because we know that after quitting the job in advertising agency, Han Sen went to an insurance company to be a broker. And after he quit this job, he went to he became a cab driver with one of his friends. And the third type of work means that you don't have to have any educational background in order to do this kind of job. For example, insurance company. Back at that days in the 1970s, you don't have to have a certificate in Taiwan in order to sell insurance policies. And if you want to be a cab driver, you don't have to be, of course, you have to be able to read, but you don't have to be a college a college student, college graduate, or even high school graduate, you just have to read. Read Chinese, and you can pass the exam of cab driver. Then you can get a certificate. Okay, so we can see 3 types of different jobs. And in the process of the story, in the process of this narrative, we can see Han Shen, he was moving farther and farther away from his original training in university. So I think this is a question that we have to ask. Is it this kind of life Han Shen? No, I have to change I have to rephrase this question. Is this kind of life right for Han Shen? Because we know that he's a university graduate, right? And at that time, only 1/3 of high school graduate in Taiwan, maybe only maybe 1/4 or 1/3 of university graduate in Taiwan had the chance to be a university student. So if you can be a university student, it's quite a very good academic achievement in your life, right? Okay, so this is a question that we have to ask. And in the story, we also see Han Shen's own perspective. Of course, it's narrated from her mother's perspective, but we can see Han Shen. We can see from what Han Shen said to see his own perspective on the society. Okay, so as in the story, we can see Taiwan became more and more commercialized, and the workplace ethics became more complex than ever. So I think Han Shen had a problem to adapting to this kind of society. For example, Han Shen thought that the insurance company was exploitative in nature, and the people in the advertising agency were even worse. Okay? And it shows us the fact that how young people with unpractical ideas might be chewed up by a society. So in this aspect, the story is similar to the story Crossing the Road, because we see young characters, they struggle in the 2 stories, right? Okay, so this is the Han Shen's perspective. He said that it turned out that the company not only required a certain percentage of his sales, but also since he had already reached his maximum, they placed other salesmen under his supervision. This time he was to go out and exploit other people. Eventually, Han Shen pounded the table, accused the insurance company of cheating, and walked out. But Yu De had to continue paying insurance fees every month. This is the way that many of the young brokers in insurance company do business, because you have to ask your friends, your family to buy the insurance policy for you, because you have no other origins of your customers, right? Yeah, so this is one of the problems Han Shen faced in insurance company. And later, Han Shen once again passed a test into an advertising agency as a market research analyst. The pay was decent and the work was simple. At first, he was satisfied with the new environment and the new colleagues were interesting. But soon after, he again began to feel that the work was dry and meaningless. When he came home, he would complain that the manager was unfair to his subordinates and flattering to his superiors. The section chief was sly, taking the credit for other people's work. Every one of his colleagues were crooks and devils, eagerly in pursuit of money and fame, always ready to squeeze their way into any favorable position. So this is something very much like in One Day in the Life of a white-collar worker and the night friend. The environment of a modern office workplace, right? And in the story, we also see the problem of the parents-children relationship. Okay, so the perspective the story what narrative from is very important because we know that the story is narrative from a mother's perspective. So it will be greatly, if the story is told from the perspective of Han Sen, it will be greatly different, right? Okay, so we see the perspective of the mother, and it's something very interesting because we know that the mother herself is a teenage problem expert, but her own son is a troublemaking teenager. So we can see the irony here. Okay, so in this way we see how worried a mother might be about her son, and in the process of receiving his education, Han Sen, whose parents were both intellectuals, caused trouble incessantly. So we can see the introduction of father and the mother. Han Sen's father is his name is Pan Yude, so Han Sen is Pan Han Sen. The son's father is editor-in-chief of a newspaper. He had arrived Taiwan alone. Like I said, he's a mainlander. Worked all the way up through college, doing whatever job which had come along. So this is in a great contrast with his own son. He did all kinds of jobs and he never complained. Maybe we can say that he never complained about this, and that's the reason why he can work his way up to be an editor-in-chief. Okay, and Han Sen is quite different. He complained all the jobs he undertook. Okay, so his way to educate his son was to let him do what he wanted. When his son was in trouble, he always said something like, "Leave him alone," or "Children at his age are all like this." So we can see the father is quite generous and quite kind. But one last thing done by Han Sen finally irritated the father. He finally got angry when his son moved to live with women who work at a dance hall, a taxi dancer. This is unbearable. This is something unbearable for the father. Okay, the mother is the narrator of the story, so this is also a very important, protagonist in this story. She has been worried about her son throughout the story. She tried to be an open-minded parent, but didn't know what to do every time her son was in trouble. So we know that he caused a lot of trouble in his school days. She couldn't understand her son's behavior. Gradually became unfamiliar with her son. Although she was very worried about him and wanted to help him, she didn't know how. Okay, so this is a very embarrassing situation since she herself is an expert on teenage problem. Okay, so this is very ironic. Okay, so from the story, mostly what readers focus on the perspective of the mother. We can see how this mother tried to read all these kind of problems of Han Sen and also the younger sister of Han Sen, Han Ning. Okay, so we can see a very strong contrast between Han Sen and Han Ning. Han Sen is a troublemaker, but Han Ning, she's a very good girl and she never made troubles, right? But from the mother's perspective, she also worried about her own daughter. Han Ning, the mother said, Han Ning was always a well-behaved, intelligent child. Because this is a passage after Han Ning passed the college entrance exam. A good student at school, a good daughter at home, and among friends and relatives, she was considered a sweet little princess. Every movement, every expression was perfectly charming. It seemed that she didn't have the trace of a flaw. But with a child like this, can one ever be sure that there is nothing to worry about? So we can see that even though you are a good child of your mother or your father, they might also be worried for you, no matter how good you have been. And through the whole process of the story, we can see the attitudes of the mother change a lot. Maybe she always changed her attitude after something happened in Han Sen. I was truly worried about his future. Long ago, he had transgressed what was normal. Could this kind of child ever become a successful man? It was perhaps the greatest defeat in our lives. This is from what I think one of the earliest sections of a story. And then later on, she said that in truth, I didn't worry about Hansen's stubborn pride. It takes guts to not to rely on other people, not to ask for help. So we can see the contradictory attitudes of the mother towards Hansen. On the one hand, she's worried about she's worried about Hansen. She's worried about that the life of Hansen might be a failure. But on the other, she also felt very assured that because she knows that the Hansen is he's a very compared to Hanlin, for example, and maybe compared to other children in Taiwanese society, he's quite independent. He did not want to rely on his parents, but of course we know that his father bought an insurance policy from him anyway. Okay, and toward the end of the story, we know that Hansen's mother was considered mortgaging their two-story house, their own two-story house for Hansen, and to give him the money to start a business, a bookstore and a coffee shop. Okay, but at this point, in the end of the story, she also felt some kind of contradiction in her heart. She said that in our hearts, both Yuder and I had contradictory feelings. We desperately hoped that he would want to work at building up his own business smoothly, because if he borrowed the money, if he took the money from his parents, it will be a lot easier to start the business, right? But we were also afraid that he would agree with us, because if he took the money from his parents, he would not be the Hansen that the independent Hansen that his mother greatly admired, right? Okay, so this is a contradictory attitudes of the mother of Hansen. Okay, so this is my own reading of my son Hansen. So let's call it a day and see you next week. Thank you.